Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And as promised, this is the conclusion to the interview with Professor Odi. We're going to get even deeper on this episode. So I hope you guys really enjoy it. I had so much fun recording this with him, and we're definitely going to have him back on the show, but maybe not a 2-part episode. So I hope you guys enjoy
you talking this. About the people on West Africa, and I remember...
because that's how they define black. No, just a real quick point. The reason why I made that point is because that's how we in the United States, based upon the United States Census, define black. That's the reason why Egyptian people don't associate themselves as black, or East Africans don't associate themselves as black, because in the census, technically, they're not black.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And there's a couple of people in the comments mentioning a few things that I just want to toss out there. I've made a ton of videos on this, that people would rather believe that aliens came here and did something than believe that black people did it. The plausibility of aliens coming and visiting one time to build all the pyramids and do all that stuff makes way more sense than black people figured it out.
I'm a up your ante real quick. White people believe that it's more plausible that the aliens would communicate with them over black people. Have you ever noticed that when black people talk about spirit or things that happen in the immaterial, it's very rarely something that is frightening. It is usually something that is more curious. But when white people talk about the immaterial or the spirit, they're usually terrified of it. When they talk about alien abductions, they are usually talking about being abducted and examined. But white people usually do the same thing to everybody else, all of the people of the earth. Like, let's be very clear here, right? If you really read African pantheons, and if you really read African cosmological stories, they are very much so like meiosis and mitosis. They each begin with two beings that are in a space of immersive water. Those two beings come together to create a third being, which is identified as a child, and then that child represents, or it replicates itself to create some type of Ennead or some type of pantheon, where these other beings then interact with the human beings that are on the physical plane. That's usually how that happens. Tell me that's not how babies are born.
Right.
Now we come in with these evangelists, these Christians are saying, no, that's not how it happened. A sky daddy had a baby with it. Like, bro, okay, if that's what you believe, then that's okay. But why is it that what it is that I believe is so demonic? Why is it that what it is that I believe is of the devil? I will tell you why. Because in the colonies and in Virginia, in order for an Englishman and in order for a white indentured servant to distinguish themselves in Christianity in the law of the land from the African infidels, African people had to be dissuaded away from, one, all of their cultural practices had to be demonized, and two, the only way that they could find redemption within society was to become Christian. Right. That is how that happened historically. That's not a story. That's historically. The way in which black people were separated from white people in terms of race, and how the idea of black people being demonic came about, was because the white slave owners, and at this time it was not just black slaves, it was black slaves and white indentured servants, they were trying to figure out how to resolve the moral conflict of enslaving people without integrating black people into the society. So they made a pact to continue to push the idea that African people were barbaric, and this is written down, eternal enemies of Christian nations. We will label them as infidels. This is written down. This happened in the colonies. And this is the reason why so many people in the diaspora within that space are so hyper-religious. It's not because they wanted to be. It's because if they didn't, they'd get killed.
And I wonder the obsession with making this a Christian nation. You wonder where did that come from? It feels strange to me that the colonies appeared here to literally come here for religious freedom, and then suddenly we became one religion. And have you ever seen a slave Bible?
My brother, have you ever looked at how it is of the parallels between the sharecropping era of Jim Crow and how now white people are finally understanding that they are in contemporary debt servitude? So now you understand what it's like to be a slave.
Now you get it.
Now you get it. Now you understand that the United States as a entity began with enslaving people, whether they were white or black, and is going to continue to do that until you understand. And until you admit that racism, slavery, and all those things were a thing, you will continue to bear the sins of your forefathers. Have fun.
Well, one tidbit that I do want to drop this because I love saying this whenever I get a chance to. I love telling people this fun fact. It is one of my favorite things about West African like history. The people have kind of been lost to time to who exactly it was, but speaking of technology and the abilities for Africans to do these great things, did you know that in Greenland and Newfoundland, in Canada and Greenland, they found traditional style African canoes, and when I say canoe, I mean a boat, that were capable of sea travel. Have you ever heard?
I did hear about that. And
they were found in these relics before. This is before Leif Erikson. This is before that time, and they also found artifacts that would have been from like Celtic kind of artifacts and things like that, like kind of pre-Celt sort of artifacts. They found those in West Africa.
Mm-hmm.
They found those. So they found native Canadian indigenous.
They found trinkets of trade.
Right.
They found identifiers of trade.
They found trade items in West Africa, Greenland, and indigenous tribes in Canada. Between the three of them.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to say a couple of things to that. One, if we are talking about economics, this is the reason why I keep telling black people, just because you exist in a capitalist space does not mean that you have to be capitalist. We have value to provide to the world, right? That this is evidence of that. If you are trading something, that means that you are trading something of value for something else of value. That means that these people went to these cultural meccas in Africa to learn about whatever it is that Africans were doing, right? So that means that at one point in time in history, we were people who could demand our equivalent value within the world. Yes, we engaged in commerce. We engaged in equivalent commerce. I am not saying that we cannot do the same thing. I am saying that we need to have a revolutionary mindset about doing it because we've already replicated it again. Hip-hop is a less than 50-year entity, but it is a multi-billion-dollar global industry that black people literally to this day have the creative rights to. Right. And hip hop is the creative right that you cannot take away from black people. You can't. You can replicate it, but you can't take it. Imagine if every single hip hop artist, R&B artist, any black person who does creative work at this point in time right now created a pact where they all created a universal entity that exists within the metaverse that is a cryptocurrency. They all attach their rights and their their publications and their intellectual property to that. And then they charge people to not only one, access that metaverse, but also two, every single time you use anything that exists within this metaverse, you have to pay this metaverse. So you literally have to engage with this universe in order to use what it is that we are doing within this culture. Black people can create and insulate a culture based upon decentralized finance right now and literally tax people for the culture. The reason why we don't do that is because we are afraid, because every single time we have tried to create a financial entity, it has been intercepted by whiteness. That does not mean that we should not stop doing it. Because the reality of the situation is this. If we stop doing that, see, here's the thing. The spirit of blackness supports the shell of whiteness. Literally, the spirit of blackness supports the shell of whiteness. If we were to remove all of that and just at one time go this way, it doesn't even have to be a physical exodus. just an ideological exodus, right? Create a metaverse, find somewhere in Africa to hide that shit, make that place in Africa the most secure place for commerce that happens in the metaverse, and then make it like Switzerland. Have everybody deposit all their cryptocurrencies there. I bet you won't nobody blow up Africa then. We don't have to be, but once again, this all boils down to us as black men and us as black people not always thinking that we have to behave like white people in order to get things done. We don't have to be violent. We don't have to do that.
Right.
We do not have to do. White is not right.
Exactly.
White doesn't exist, bro.
Right. Ooh. I heard somebody say the other day that
somebody said who's gonna be in charge. That's the purpose of decentralized finance. So let's be very clear. The idea that I'm positioning right now for black people in terms of decentralized finance exists on the concept of market socialism, right? So nobody's in charge. What happens is that everybody makes sure that they take fair price for what it is that is going on. And the way that cryptocurrencies and decentralized finance and the blockchain works is that it keeps that record or that log as public record. So you can't take. And if you do take, you get booted out of the community. Like, that's how that works. You are responsible for being in charge of what it is that is yours, and you are also obligated to give back to the community, because that's the only way that the community is going to thrive. But the reason why it's hard for us to think this way, because we have all been basically inoculated by capitalism. Capitalism is not the only way that the economics work.
Right, and I was just reading something the other day that every. What is it?
Tevin Hartley, go look up. Hold on, real quick. Tevin Hartley, go look up how blockchain technology and cryptocurrency works, bro. Go ahead.
Right. Get there.
just come on, bro.
I was just reading the other day that I think whatever the world currency is, like whatever, like across time, the world currency usually only lasts about 100 years. Or so, something like that, like 50 to 100 years, and then we end up switching and changing to like a new like system or something like that.
Physical currency, yes.
Right. Like something like that. And the writer was saying that basically the American dollar is overdue to be overrun. Like, to be changed, for the system to overhaul. We've been doing this form of capitalism for objectively too long throughout history. And that's the other thing that people don't get to, is like this form of capitalism, like what we're doing right now, is not that old. It isn't. We haven't been doing this very, very long. And we did everything that he's saying right now. We did that for thousands of years, and look up
African feudal systems, indigenous African economic feudal systems, and you'll find that information.
Exactly. And now we're doing this. We've just been doing this, and you're just living in the center of it, and you can't see outside of it because you're completely consumed within it. You can't. A fish doesn't know it's wet. You don't know that you're drowning in this capitalist society because you're drowning in this capitalist society. You can't see past it because you don't remember what it was that we were doing before that. So everything.
Wait, real quick, bookmark. Have you seen the movie? Have you seen the movie Soul? Because I want to make this point real quick. Have you seen the movie Soul? Yes. So you remember when she told the story about the fish, and she said one day there was a fish swimming in the ocean, and he came across another fish. And the first fish said to the second fish, "Hey, I'm looking for the ocean." And the second fish said, "You're looking for the ocean, you're in it." And the first fish said, "No, bro, this is just water. I'm looking for the ocean."
Right. We don't.
It's your perception.
Right.
It's your perception.
And to those that feel as though, and I'll hurry up here and let you go. We're going a little long, but everybody in the comments are loving it, so I'm cool if you're cool.
Man, we got a little bit of time.
But something I want people to take with them is a quote that I can't even attribute it to somebody. I don't know if I made it up, if I heard it somewhere, if my grandmama said it.
Hey, that's how I be.
We are the ones that we've been waiting for. I'll say it again. We are the ones that we have been waiting for.
I needed that. I received that.
And a lot of people feel as though, oh, we can't change this, or we can't do this differently. We can't, someone's gonna do it. Someone's gonna just wait. Superman's coming. Someone's going to come and fix this and change it. And then once that person comes, then it'll all be different and it'll be okay. One day we'll all wake up and it'll be okay. That day is always today. Because we are the ones that we're waiting for. We're the adults. We're the ones. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day about this concept. Like, when did you wake up one day and go, I'm the responsible adult in the room?
Like damn. I'm really an adult out this bitch.
It's me. I'm the one that's in charge. I'm the one that's supposed to make a better world. I'm the one that's supposed to do these things. And feeling that concept and realizing that, I guess it's kind of like my villain origin stories, as I've been putting it. But the moment of radicalization is this profound come to Jesus moment of, oh, wait a second. I could just do this shit. Wait, we don't have to do it like this because I have an idea. So we'll just do that. Why can't we just do that? The idea that we want. We can all get together and do it if we want to, because it's ours. Remember, money's fake. Money's made up. It's made up. It isn't real. None of it's real. It's not real. Your bank account isn't real. It's a number. It's just numbers and a computer. It's not real.
The bulls who talk about reality all the time said the universe, literally as we see it, does not exist.
It's not real.
I don't know how much further you want to go into the Matrix past that. But like y'all, if we sit down and really have conversations, like I'm gonna leave y'all with a whole bunch of stuff. You gonna sit in the shower like, is this water even touching my body? Technically, it's not. On a subatomic level, no, you're literally just feeling the electromagnetic current between the molecules on the water coming off and responding to the molecules on your skin. Nothing actually ever touches you. You're literally just feeling the pressure of these molecules not being able to pass through each other.
Nothing touches anything.
Nope.
Nothing. It's
so literally nothing is real. It's real, but it's not real. Everything that exists around you is a product of somebody else's imagination. Literally, even you are the product of your mama and daddy imagination. Let's talk about it.
Let's get into it, man.
Let's get into it. Right. So once again, let's talk. I'm gonna break it down even further. Right. So
break it down.
We talk about, so in the Bible, they talk about prophets, right? They talk about this idea of like we being, we, and also we, you see, like we, us, I, right? So the definition of prophet is a person regarded as an inspired teacher or the proclaimer of the will of God, right? Now, we are all children of God, correct?
Correct.
We all, in some way, have the knowledge of God, correct? The idea of moralisms, right and wrong, things of that nature. The apple representing education, the snake representing kundalini energy. We can go a whole bunch of different ways with this. But altogether, we have the energy, we have the understanding and the energy of God, correct?
Correct.
So, is a prophet somebody who how are you different from a prophet other than how much it is that you study the workings of God? So, in other words, you being a prophet rests upon your ability to see God in everything, irrespective of how it presents. Right? So in order to prophesize, right, in order to see, in order to have that clairvoyance, in order to be a soothsayer, somebody who literally says something to soothe, right? Somebody who brings peace, somebody who understands how it is that to resonate, to bring together, to prophesize. You have to be able to see the workings of God. A prophet is nothing more than somebody who has studied in the workings of God. And if you believe that your book is the only book in the library of God, my child, my child.
Is it too much? Yeah, are we doing too much? Are y'all okay? Do you need a break? Do we need to talk about something lighter? Like what do y'all want to talk about? Do we need to They're saying more on my end. Simulation gang on my
Not simulation gang.
Yo,
not simulation gang.
We are talking.
Not keep going. Not they say keep the cipher going. Let's go.
We're talking.
Y'all really trying to get into the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Let's go.
We're talking bigger than the idea, the concept of even a simulation, because that still has to be created, and that just infers that there is something tangible that is there is a creation of things. We're talking about the idea that you are just a electromagnetic phenomenon that experiences the disturbances in other parts of the electromagnetic sphere that you're in. All of your senses, everything that you experience with your senses, your eyes don't do anything. Your brain interprets all of these things. I was just watching part of a documentary yesterday with this little girl who hears colors because the way that her brain works is when her eyes interpret information, her brain sends the same signals as if she heard something. And
I experienced a type of that. It's called synth something. I forget what it's called. Hold on.
I can never say that word. I
think it's synesthesia or something like that.
Yeah. I have like kind of the same thing with like seeing sound, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like whenever I'm creating or writing, I in my head as I'm writing my music, it's I know what color I want to make it.
Yeah.
it feels like paint blending more
when
than
I feel emotions, or when I'm describing how it is that I feel to people, sometimes I use colors. Or like if I'm listening to some music and if I close my eyes, I can see the sound, if that makes any sense. Yeah. So it's like I can kind of like see it doing this, but it's doing this in different parts of my conscience. You dig what I'm saying? Now, I wanna do something really cool real quick, because we branched out very far into all of these spaces like simulation game, right? So this is what I mean when I say I study the quantum mechanics of human behavior and thought, because I'm gonna take this string, right? So imagine I'm taking a string, right? So everybody focus on my hand right here, right? And I'm pulling this string, and I'm pulling you back to the reality of what does this have to do with mental health? Because in cognitive behavioral therapy, we do something called reframing, and we also do something called restructuring. If you understand that everything is plausible and nothing happens in a vacuum, you can literally argue whatever it is that you want to argue in your mind, and it could technically be true as long as you have enough evidence for it. As long as it exists within, I forget what the number is now, but as long as you have at least one part in 10 billion, literally, if it exists one time in a count of 10 billion, it exists. That is how now the edge of like something that exists based upon what it is that they found within that quantum reality. If something exists in a count of one of a billion instances, it still existed. You can still say it exists. This is an example of this happening. So you can restructure and reframe your mind around a multitude of things as as long as you have enough evidence to constitute to their reality. That is the reason why when we talk about manifestation and the law of attraction, what attracts to you is based upon what you seek out. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that internal resonance requires you to, once again, the string, understand that what you believe is right or what you believe is wrong. If you throw it into enough question, you can unlock or you can let go of a lot of that trauma that exists within you by believing that you have done something right, you have done something wrong, somebody has righted you, somebody has wronged you. Imagine throwing your entire reality into flux and then rebuilding your own reality from that. Nobody can tell you that it's wrong. Literally, nobody can tell you how you see yourself is wrong. Why? Because technically, the way that it is that you see me is limited. Because I change over time. Everything happens in time. Everything. So the you that you knew, I tell people all the time, like people say, oh, well, the you that you knew 2 years ago isn't the same. No. At the rate that I evolve as an individual, everybody evolves differently. If you talk to me 6 months ago, I am not the same person.
Yeah, I feel that.
You dig what I'm saying? Everything happens in time, so nothing exists in a vacuum. Even ecological theory, Brenner's ecological theory, it also exists in time. Whenever you add time to anything, you have now invoked quantum mechanics. So once again, you as an individual within your mind exist in a quantum state. Therefore, whatever exists within that probability amplitude is based upon that quantum state. But as a human being, you have the unique ability to shift your quantum state based upon what materials you place in your environment.
I like that. It reminds me of a Tom Waits quote. Let's just keep. We're not even having callbacks. This is just like a big old spiral.
Circle.
Like we're going back and forth.
And do you know 9 times out of 10, if you look at once again, you said a big old spiral, and I'm glad you said that. If you look at the way that it is that chakraologists identify how chakra energy moves, what shape is it?
There's circles. Oh, it's a spiral, right?
We working with building energy here, brother. Let's go.
Reminds me of this Tom Waits quote that I always say to the musicians that I play with whenever we're rehearsing or something like that. You can't play your own song wrong because it's your song. However you play it is how you play it. It's because you played it. When you play it, it's the way that you play it. That's why the ship of Theseus isn't mind-blowing. My existence is a pattern, it's not the components. Exactly. Someone in my comment section is talking about the ship of Theseus. You know, the idea is if you replace a plank of wood on a ship every single day until you replace every single piece of wood with a new piece of wood, is it the same ship or is it a new ship?
So here's the thing. Those type of questions attempt to separate, once again, they attempt to separate two realities. It is the same ship in a new ship. So if you're replacing one plank at a time, you're doing this through time. Those one planks cannot become that full ship without having the support of the old ship. So once that ship becomes the new ship, it is still in part the old ship because that old ship still created that new ship.
Wait a second. Did you just answer it? Wait. I've had. This is what I went to school for. I've had this.
Yeah, bro. It's almost like the question. If a tree falls in the forest and nobody is around to hear it, does it make a sound? Well, that depends.
Why do you say it depends? Why do you say it depends? I also say it depends, but why do you say it depends?
I say it depends because, once again, it's a quantum conundrum, right? I know physically that if a tree falls, there is vibration that is associated with that tree hitting the earth. But if nobody is around to call that a sound, does it exist? The reality of the situation is it still exists. But then the question becomes, are you humble enough to recognize that you are not the end all be all to something being something?
Yes.
Of course the tree makes a sound.
Is sound, does sound have to be interpreted to be sound?
Exactly.
Or is vibration what sound is? But then that would make us this big, and I don't like that. That sounds scary.
It does. It sounds scary. And here's the thing. So, as an individual, my spiritual understanding is animism. It's very African, right?
Mm-hmm.
There is a cause and effect for everything, and everything vibrates. Quantum physics is literally animism. We as Black people understand fifth dimensional thought innately. That's what hip hop is. Hip hop is literally how it is that we've taken vibrations and we've created income from it. We literally created something out of nothing, right? We took pieces of nothing and we created something that literally began lifting people out of poverty. Hip hop began as stolen electricity for a back to school party in the projects.
Yeah. I love that.
Right? So once again, we are in this space where we as Black people understand quantum mechanics innately, and white supremacy has bamboozled us into believing that we do not. So that relates to mental health, especially with us, because we as Black people have our own set of psychological tenets, behaviors, rituals to draw from. It is called Black psychology.
Right. Yeah.
Right? So once again, we are in this space where we are asking this question of, do I have to qualify something to exist? In African cosmology and epistemology, that's a dumb question. If you notice, all of these questions of existence, all of these either or questions come from a bunch of European philosophers.
Right.
So once again, they're operating in this particular mindset where it's like there has to be a separation. That is epistemologically traceable to European people that came around in the Renaissance. That's the reason why we attach that to intelligence so much, because white folks believe that that's the pinnacle of intelligence. Whole time, motherfuckers was just asking questions about the universe that we had already answered. My friend, if you see smoke, there's fire. If you see smoke, there's fire.
Don't get me started about the Renaissance. Because we're going to end up talking about classical music, because we were talking about music. And I'm going to say something like classical music is not innately more intelligent. It's just white supremacy that told you that a certain kind of music has to be more intelligent than another kind of music, because there has to be a separation. And that was I'm gonna throw you
one better. We actually have evidence that hip hop can actually help you remember mnemonics and things that you have to memorize in terms of rote memory just as effectively as classical music. So what are people really saying about hip hop?
Oh, come on.
What are we really saying about this whole idea of, once again, what happened in the 1850s where white people literally created a lie? It is literally a lie. Literally a lie. In order to support white supremacy. The spirit of Blackness supports the shell of whiteness. That is the reason why every iteration of whiteness and Blackness is a codependent relationship. White people cannot function without Black people. They can't.
The concept of whiteness and Blackness was created by a Portuguese man that got paid to write a book. His name is Zurara. Go look it up. He got paid to write a book because they needed something to go. They needed virality of the time.
They needed a white supremacist iterated, literally, in a book. They needed it to be material and readable and referenceable, similar to the Bible, so that they could say that this is fact.
Right. This is exactly where it came from. We know this because it's real.
We know this because it's real. And notice how Black people are naturally orators. We tell stories based upon what happened. We tell story based upon context. That's the reason why a lot of indigenous things are not written down. Why? Because we would talk about it and people would do it. We didn't have to theorize. We didn't have to mentally masturbate. We just did it.
Right. we didn't have to write these things down. And if you want to get back into the sound is vibration, what is telling stories if not the transference of vibration? I had somebody say that in inception, the idea of inception is functioning all the time. We are constantly incepting things, and we are constantly being telepathic with each other through sound. Something that is in my head comes through vibrations, through the air, through electronics, into this microphone that's sitting in front of me, out of your cellular device, through back through the air, into your ears and your brains. Magnetic, electromagnetic a discovery understands what I'm saying and then translates it into thought in your head. I'm thinking here using this to make vibration, and you're thinking it there.
And that's the thing. That's the reason why so many people say that one of the theories of how the pyramids were built were based upon telepathy and sound and vibration, because those are the only things at that scale that can move those blocks that high that quickly. That's one, but also two, that's the reason why I said white people sincerely try to slow the people of the earth down in order to understand them. That is the reason why white people value material over immaterial, because they do not understand immaterial the same way that we do. Why the fuck do you need to build an entire particle collider in order to understand that there is a difference between the spirit and the non-spirit? Why are you attempting to create a God particle when you as an individual you are literally attempting to understand God within the palm of your hand? You cannot do that. That's the reason why the experiments don't work. That's the reason why you cannot replicate quantum experiments, because those flashes in the pan are supposed to be flashes in the pan, dickhead.
Oh man.
Right? You are literally, so this is what's literally happening. You are literally watching. You are literally externalizing the flash or the epiphany that you get inside of your mind. And that flash that you see in your particle collider is priming you to believe that you found something different. So you built this entire machine that's leagues long to externalize an internal spark. And then you don't recognize that the God particle exists here.
Right. It's almost as if, because they are taking a material thing to manifest something that's already been decided within their spirit, their electronic, their within their brain. They've already decided this thing is going to work, or they want it to work. So they
are literally building it into existence. That is the reason why we spend so much time and energy in going into the moon instead of diving into the ocean, because we believe that God is external and not internal.
Exactly. It's almost as if you believe that something will work, and then you consume that material, you can, something that your brain was already primed for can manifest itself, but you were already ready for that.
Is that not alchemy, brother?
It's
like, is that not the purpose of the Philosopher's Stone? To take one energetic thing and turn it into another? They said gold, right? Gold was just the thing that was the most valued at the time. The purpose of alchemy is to change one energetic thing into another energetic thing. Alchemy is chemistry.
Right.
And it is literally changing one energetic structure to the other. What you just described is spiritual alchemy, brother. That's all that it is.
Exactly.
And they are trying to make spiritual alchemy a physical reality. And that is quite literally lacking the purpose of spiritual alchemy. You create what needs to exist in order for you to understand what you need to understand. That is literally God presenting itself to you in the way that it needs to present itself to you in order to understand it. That is the reason why right now the president of Egypt, consequently, nothing is consequence, but still, the president of Egypt is literally saying, and I find this to be wildly amazing, the president of Egypt, a brown man, is literally saying to a bunch of white people that we are hurtling towards climate disaster with our foot on the accelerator. All we got to do is take it off.
That's it.
That's it. All we got to do is take it off. We have the technology. We have the time. We have the resources. So why are we not doing it? Because we are still in the interest of what it is that we believe to be what is ordained by God. And that is to build this Tower of Babel, literally these space stations and all of these things where multiple people have to come together and create. When have you ever seen a ladder to heaven that actually reached heaven? But when have you ever seen a man so enlightened that you believe that he understands the will of God?
Right.
So what is a prophet? A prophet is somebody who is studied in the mechanizations of God. They are a student of God.
I feel as though we're almost wrapping all the way back around to one of the first topics that we brought up is the placebo effect.
Yes. So do you believe that these things are real, or do you believe that this is just a bunch of nonsense? Because that colors your experience of this conversation. And then it will then color how it is that you move forward with this conversation. So all I'm saying is, as you talk about inception, brother, I'm just planting the seed. And that's where it comes into mental health. Because mental health at its base is just thinking about things differently. It's giving yourself the grace and opportunity to say it is okay for what it is and how it is that you lived previously to transcend into how it is that you need to live now. It is okay to get rid of your old self to make room for your new self, because that is how nature works. I am almost certain that a butterfly is terrified of becoming the goo. I'm sorry. I am almost certain that a caterpillar is terrified of becoming the goo that's necessary in order for it to be a butterfly. We just don't know its thought process when it's becoming that goo.
I need my folks, I need my white anti-racist folks to hear what he just said. Change is terrifying, but it's something that we need to do. He also said just a minute ago that the person that if you were to talk to him 6 months ago, that might not be the same person that he is today. What we're doing it doesn't have to be this long-lasting thing, this years of struggle. And I saw someone in the comments say, I'm just a student among teachers. No, you're educating yourself to go out and do something with it right now. When someone asks you if you can call them in and you said, I don't know what that means. Yes, you do. You just experienced it.
Somebody said they are a student among teachers. I wanna piggyback on that just real quick. The best teachers are eternal students, and I want you to remember that.
Exactly. Always learning, trying to continue to change, to be better. That is the point of the work that we do. And what you just watched for almost 2 hours was an exercise, not role play, but a live demonstration of changing the way that you can think about things. Changing that. And that is what it has to do with mental health, because that we had a long, huge, big, bright, colorful explanation of a process that with a question, just a few questions, happens in your mind in an instant. We just stretched it out to illustrate it for you. That was the point of tonight.
Quantum psychology. We take something that happens in like 30 seconds and we stretch it into like 2 hours. Yeah.
All right, brother. I love you dearly. I have to get running here, but do me a favor for the sake of the podcast, for some new people I know jumped in. What's your name? What do you do? Where can we find you? Plug all the things real quick.
Yeah. So once again, one time for the one time. My name is Odi Lakachi William Hezekiah Onkwe. I am a therapist. I am a life coach who specializes, as you all can see, in the quantum mechanics of human behavior, and I assist people in aligning themselves with the selves that they would like to be, utilizing evidence-based practice. That's 1. 2, where you can find me most actively is on my Instagram. That is where all of my ebook offerings, that is where all of my electronic offerings are. Where it is that I would like for you all to begin going if you enjoy having conversations like this and you enjoy moving in these directions. I have 2 book clubs, and you can find both of the link to both of those book clubs. They're subscriptions, but they're not high subscriptions. One is like a little under $7, and the other one is a little under $6. So each month we read a different book, and we have discussions like this that span, days. So I have them on the ShareSpace app. So it is a social media app that is designed to be like a closed group, and you can just come into the group. You can be anonymous, and we discuss the book. So like I said before, you can find that on my Instagram. If you go to my bio in my TikTok, you can see the Instagram badge. Tap that Instagram badge. My Instagram is connected. Once you get to my Instagram, you can go into my link tree. And then once you hit my link tree, you'll see either join the Love Book Club, which is where we talk about stuff like this, as you can clearly see. And then we also have the Wealth Book Club, is where we take these same concepts and we apply them directly to money because they intersect a lot, right? Also find me on YouTube and TikTok.
Awesome. All right, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the space, brother.
I'm gonna, in the show notes, I'll drop all the links and everything, so you guys won't have to look hard if you're listening if you didn't catch the video, if you're on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever, you're catching it there. I'm gonna jump into that book club, and a couple of people said last week that they were interested in doing a different one. So I'll join yours. You join mine. We
on, bro. Because we talk about the Alchemist. We on.
We need to talk about the Alchemist. On my side, people are asking, is the professor gonna come back? We'll schedule it up. We'll figure it out. We'll get you back. We'll get you back in here. All right. Well, thank you so much, man. Thanks for coming on and hanging out with me. Love you so much.
Love you too, bro.
I will talk to you guys soon. You have a nice night. Stay safe.
Thank you guys again so much for tuning in to the conclusion of the Professor Odi episode. He is a wealth of knowledge, and we could have definitely kept going, but I hope you enjoyed that as much as I enjoyed recording it for you. So a little bit of housekeeping here. If you do want to support the show monetarily, there are Venmo links and Cashapp links right down below, and you can do that. Please stay tuned because the Patreon is definitely coming. We are going to start the book club. There's just a few things that I gotta iron out before we do that. But until next week, please go drink water. I love you. Go drink water. Do it right now.